Well, I'm going to be really in the minority here, and I'm going to be very unpopular when I say I don't think Buck Martinez should be in the level of excellence. Level of excellence. Buck Martinez has quantity with the Toronto Blue Jays out the wazoo. You are going to be hard pressed to find the quality.
Patreon.com/The Walk Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. Let's talk Buck Martinez for a minute. He's back behind the booth, or in the booth, I guess, behind the mic, calling games for 2023. It's nice to see. He's recovering nicely from his cancer. Hopefully that is fully stays in remission there. He's 72, I believe. The future of Toronto Blue Jays broadcasts at some point in the not too distant future is going to have to move on from Buck Martinez. Once he's gone, I talked with Garth about this on Friday, but I want your insight, Craig. Who replaces Buck Martinez? Pat Tabler's gone. Martinez going to be gone soon as well. This has been the face of Blue Jays games, the voice for sure of Blue Jays games for years, if not decades. A very prominent role in Canadian baseball. Who do you see being the guy that steps in to replace him? I mean, we have to acknowledge right off the top that Blue Jays fans are absolutely, we think we're spoiled with Vladdy and Bo and the kids. Like, we are absolutely spoiled with this broadcast team. I don't know if you watch many broadcasts for other teams or if you've ever seen some of like the Apple TV broadcasts that they do. We are so spoiled with the broadcast team right from top to bottom for Toronto Blue Jays games. What's next after Buck Martinez?
Well, and we've been spoiled from jump as well. I mean, we had Tom Cheek and Jerry Howarth on the radio for years. They were absolutely as good as it gets. But I'll liken it to what the Toronto Raptors did. Now, the Toronto Raptors brought in Alvin Williams, so that's a very popular former player. Now, his first season, my goodness, how nice can I be here? You're better off watching the game on mute. He was just dreadful. He has really developed into this role, in my opinion, nicely. So could something like that be on the horizon for the Toronto Blue Jays? A Vernon Wells, a Ricky Romero, I'm more of a dark horse, a Jesse Barfield type of guy. I think somebody like Pat Henkin could knock a job like this right out of the park. So I do think there'll be some options for them there. If I'm the Blue Jays, I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel here. I'm literally looking to see who's going to fit in nicely beside Dan Shulman. For me, that's how I feel we're spoiled, because Dan Shulman, I think, is the absolute as good as it gets. I think he's the best in the entire business. So I'd like somebody that's going to work well with Dan Shulman. Now the game date, like down on the field, you have Hazel, who is also as good as it gets. I wonder if Hazel could be up in the booth, by the way. I wonder if Hazel could be in the booth, by the way. I wouldn't close the door on that. I think she's just such a talent. But yeah, you're totally right, Adam. It looked like this was by hook or by crook that Buck would be back this season. So it looked like it was this close where they had to make a decision now. So definitely hope some irons are in the fire. It certainly will be sooner rather than later before they need to replace Buck Martinez. And Buck Martinez, by the way, Adam, if I can tell the story about it, if you remember how Buck Martinez broke his leg, if you want to talk
Please
Buck Martinez,
yeah,
I need to tell this. If we're talking Buck Martinez, one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen, certainly one of the most underrated plays in Blue Jay history. When you hear it, maybe you'll think one of the most underrated plays in baseball history. This is 1985, drive for 85, first time Blue Jays make the playoffs. Their catching scenario was Buck Martinez from the right side hitting against lefties, Ernie Witt from the left side hitting against righties. They're at Seattle at the Kingdom in these, back in these days at the Kingdom, playing the Seattle Mariners. Seattle's got a lefty on the mound, so there's Buck. If I remember correctly, Tom Filer was making his debut, and shout out to you if you remember Tom Filer. That's an obscure Blue Jay name. Anyway, he's on the mound for the Blue Jays. I want to say it's the sixth inning, and in the previous inning, Jesse Barfield with that arm out in right field had already gunned somebody down. We all know, right? Jesse Barfield with that arm, we all know what he was doing out there. So man on first, Filer balks him over to second, so now man on second. Stormin Gorman Thomas is the batter. Stormin Gorman Thomas, big dude. Fu Manchu, the muscle, like a big scary dude. Shoots a base hit out to right field. Now, Jesse Barfield with that arm just threw someone out. Seattle still sends the runner. So Jesse Barfield dispatches of the runner at home to Buck Martinez. Jesse Barfield's this particular throw comes up third base line a little bit. So Buck drifts. You could see him in the right-handed batter's box, makes the catch. Here comes the collision. Buck's body gets bent over, but his spike from one of his shoes gets stuck. So as his body gets bent, his leg stays right here. So he breaks his leg, snaps the bone out, and breaks it in 2 spots. So he's lying there with a broken leg. Storming Gorman Thomas hit the base hit, goes to second on the throw, looks at home, sees that Buck Martinez has been shot and killed, so he thinks he can just go to third base now easily, right? Just trotting to third base. The pitcher, Tom Filer, who's backing up the play, is coming to pick up Buck. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? So now Buck, if you imagine Buck's field of vision, he's lying there. His field of vision, he sees Stormin Gorman Thomas going from second to third. So on the ground with the leg broken in multiple places, Buck tries to throw to Garth Orge. Shout out to Garth Orge, to the actual Garth Orge. But you can imagine lying there, busted leg. The throw's nowhere close. It goes skipping down the line in left field. George Bell is backing up the play. So as the ball goes skipping into left field, Stormin Gorman realizes, well, I can just trot home. He starts trotting home. Didn't see George Bell backing up the play wisely. Bell on, I think it was one hop even, right to Buck Martinez, lying on the ground. The one hop comes right to Buck. And like I said, Stormin Gorman, 6'3", massive. If he wanted to have a collision, he could have killed Buck Martinez right in that moment. If you ever see the replay, you will see he tiptoes like a ballerina, just trying to almost like excuse himself around Buck, because he can see the leg is like, he can see this is a real deal right now. So gets himself tagged out pretty much on purpose because he doesn't want to add to the drama. So that is, what is that? If you score at home, if you scored baseball games before, that's a 9-2-7-2 double play. And if you've ever seen one of those before, drop a comment because I'd love to hear it. One of the rare. So Buck Martinez completes a double play with a separated bone and 2 of the bones in his legs broken. Hashtag legend, Adam.
Hashtag legend, certainly. Well, speaking of the legendary Buck Martinez, is it time to cement his status in Blue Jays, in the pantheon of all-time Blue Jays, with a an addition to the level of excellence in Toronto? It feels inevitable. But when should it happen? Does this need to happen while he's still broadcasting, or is this a post-retirement sort of thing? Or do you even think he needs to be added to the level of excellence? Let's start there. So we are going to start doing trivia nights once a month. We are going to be keeping score for prizes. We're going to be keeping a 12-month running tally of the leaderboards as well. So by December, someone will have the 2023 walk-off trivia crown, Blue Jays jersey, potentially more. We'll see how the more Patreon members we get, the more money we have to spend on these prizes. The prize for tomorrow is going to be a New Era fitted baseball cap. If you haven't yet, join, because the longer you wait, the harder time you're going to have getting that year-end prize.
I wonder if I can add to this here. So you guys are at 40 Patreon. How about this? If before it's go time tomorrow, if that's up to 50, I'll contribute a Ricky Tiedemann rookie card, 2 Ricky Tiedemann rookie cards. So the people who are 1 to 40 will be in that draw automatic. Remember, we got to get to 50 now. We got to get to 50 for this to unlock. So we get to 50 by the time it starts tomorrow. The 40 that were already Patreon members, we'll do 2 Ricky Tiedemann rookie cards in there, and we'll do a draw for those 10 or however many people it's going to be new as well. So up to 3 Ricky T rookie cards up for grabs. So help spread the word. All we need to do.
That's so generous,
it's not all
Craig.
we need to do, right, Adam? Because it's a climb, but let's do that. Let's do that. We get up to 50 by the time tomorrow hits, and you know what? If that happens as well, okay. We better do something for the winner as well. Maybe a Manoa rookie card or a Ricky T for the winner tomorrow as well. But for all 4 of these cards, Adam, for it to be unlocked, all of that has to happen. We got to be at least 50. So
all right,
walk off family, got some work to do.
Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. Do you even think he needs to be added to the level of excellence? Let's start there.
Well, I'm going to be really in the minority here, and I'm going to be very unpopular when I say I don't think Buck Martinez should be in the level of excellence. Buck Martinez has quantity with the Toronto Blue Jays out the wazoo. You are going to be hard pressed to find the quality. He was not a good player. He was a very good defensive catcher. He was in the major leagues for like 18 years. Well, Craig, that sounds pretty. He was the worst hitter you ever saw in your life, but he was good defensively. I will give him that. He called a good game. I'll give him that. I don't like him as an announcer. I know I'm in the minority there. I know that's almost blasphemy. I don't like him as an announcer. As a manager, if any of you are old enough to have lived through him as a manager, then you want this level of excellence talk thrown out the window. He was as bad as John Gibbons as a manager. I mean, just horrible. So the quantity is there. I know this is blasphemous. People love Buck.
Wow.
I get it, Adam. I'm so
you know
happy
what?
he's feeling healthy.
There's some heat coming for you in the comments already. I could feel it. You got a lot of love in the comment section last week. You're gonna get some heat for this one.
This week, is it?
Yeah, you've
well, I'm going to have to remind everyone, I'm old enough to have watched Don Chevrier, Tony Kubek, all the broadcast teams we had growing up. Adam, let me say this. Let me see if anybody agrees with this point, at least then. Here's my beef with Buck Martinez. As I say, how can you be in the majors for 18, 20 years, whatever it was, be such a bad hitter? Because he was so good behind the plate up here. There are so many times, Adam Mack, and walk-off listeners, where Pat Tabler would be his partner. Buck Martinez, because he has such a brilliant baseball mind, would ask a good question to Pat Tabler, but Tabby would never throw it back, and Buck would never take the reins and just bring it back and answer the question. Buck, it's you with the baseball mind. It's you I want to hear the answer to that good question. So I actually do have some beefs with Buck Martinez. I know. Enjoy your last time on the walk-off, Craig. You're about to be booed to hang. I know it. But Adam, I have to call it the way I see it. I have to do that.
Craig, if Joel is welcome back on the walk-off after the comments that came for him on Wednesday, you're safe. You're safe here. I promise you that.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. I think it's I love Buck. I couldn't agree with you stronger. I do think that he's starting to lose it a little bit he's 70, so I can't fault him for slowing down a little bit behind the mic, but very fond memories. My entire childhood is Buck Martinez calling Blue Jays games. So, for me, level of excellence entirely based on his game calling, not on his game playing. But I don't have a problem with that.
That's too fair to me.
If he is to be added to the level of excellence, though, let's just work under those understandings here. Would you rather see that after he's retired? Let's just say he finishes this season and doesn't come back. Do you want to see it as a 2 years later, he's 75 and we bring him out for a ceremony, or do you want to see it mid-season this year?
No, mid-season. If anything, bringing him back to, because maybe you have some sort of celebration for all the people who are still alive in the level of excellence. Maybe do something like that. But no. If we are going to give Buck that level of flowers, level of excellence, that level of flowers, then absolutely. I want it to be when he's still around right now. He's still, you mentioned slipping a little bit, but he's as into his game as possible. The absolute truth, Adam, and we don't want to be super negative about it. The absolute truth is he's dealing with an illness that is going to control the narrative, right? That illness is what's in charge. So we don't know how he'll be going forward. So if he's good enough to be there this season, let's absolutely get the flowers done with him in-house this season.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We did get a comment last week from Scott Carter, and I'm just going to read this out here. I think the most important is to add Buck to the level of excellence while he's still doing the broadcast. It'll be so much better than doing it after he's retired. I think June 19th, 2024 would be a great date if he's still around. That would be 55 years since his MLB debut. Sure, his debut was with the Royals, but no one's perfect. I'm all for milestones. 55 is a cool number. But like you said, in all of life, you don't want to take any time for granted. So I don't really want to wait till 2024. I think that's an induction that the sooner it happens, the better. Let's talk replacements a little bit, and then we'll move on to our topic of the home run derby. We did get a few comments about, and you're going to be more knowledgeable on this than I am. He calls the Raptors games. What's his name now?
Matt Devlin.
Matt Devlin, thank you. I was thinking Adam Devlin, but yeah, Matt Devlin. I think I went to school with a kid named Adam Devlin. Anyways, Matt Devlin calls Raptors games. I'm not a Raptors guy, you could speak better to his abilities as a broadcaster. I know he has filled in for Blue Jays games here and there. But what are your thoughts on Matt Devlin specifically as a potential replacement, or would they stick more with the baseball and leave him to what he's? I don't want to say what he's good at with, because that seems like a shot at him, and I don't mean it as that at all. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on Matt Devlin?
Well, I think you said a viewer suggested that. Hats off to that viewer. I think that's a great call. Matt Devlin is one of those announcers that brings the party with him. He brings the energy with him. Now, baseball has guys, people like us, hooked. We know the truth is a lot of people, what's their number one? Oh, you like baseball? Baseball is boring. Matt Devlin is that guy that when it's 9-4 Blue Jays in the third inning and the game's already spoken for, he's still going to have that energy for the last, 6-7 innings. He's still going to be able to keep you hooked, have good stories, very entertaining, great sense of humor. Again, I think you said that was a viewer that suggested that. I absolutely love that idea. And Adam, I don't think it's a matter of, just having him do what he's best at. I think Dan Shulman's the example. Dan Shulman is as good as it gets at calling college basketball. He's
Great
as
point.
good as it gets at calling, but he also excels at baseball. If you're good at this, I think you're good at this, period. The Bob Costas, the Marv Albert, we can stick them in any scenario. If you're good at this, I just think you're good at this, period. And Matt Devlin is good at this.
Okay, I'll say this. That's a great point. I think with Dan Shulman, I'm glad he didn't stick to basketball, right? I know not everybody's a Dan Shulman fan. I don't understand that, for one. I think Dan Shulman is.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard that before.
I know we got some comments in the troll, or in the some trolls in the comments here. Bored with Dan Shulman. I think that's ludicrous. But yeah, we did get a few people asking for Matt Devlin, and I think you're right. I think that's a great point, that if you're good at this, you're good at this. You're calling sports. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the answer comes from internal. One name that really stuck out to me was Ricky Romero. We got a lot of Vernon Wells suggestions too. I'm not a Vernon Wells guy, I could tell you that. Ricky Romero feels like he is being brought along by Sportsnet and groomed for the position. Maybe not necessarily as a Buck replacement, but maybe as a 10 years down the road kind of a replacement, right? Maybe get him some more work on the radio side. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so torn on this. I feel like a former player would be nice. Maybe like a Russell Martin.
Oh, there's another name right there. That's a catcher, so he's going to know a lot about the game. That's a good one right there.
Yeah, I mean, having the catcher as the broadcaster, it feels like a cliche at this point, but it's a cliche. The cliches are cliches for a reason.
For a reason, yeah.
And I mean, the downside is nowadays, I think a lot of pro athletes are less likely to get into broadcasting because they made a good amount of money when they played.
Sure.
Back in the 80s, they weren't exactly making generational wealth the way they are nowadays. So the incentive to pull Russell Martin, I mean, we've talked about this as like potential manager for the Blue Jays and why that's not likely to happen, right? It would be a tough ask, I think, to get Russell Martin into the broadcast booth for Sportsnet, but I think that'd be a fun one.